Hello, and welcome to this episode of Tubechat, a series where I interview people on the tube for no reason. So, what's the tea on free will? Actually, can I sit on that side? Do you mind? So, what's the tea on free will?
There is no tea, unfortunately. I suppose the best way, we just swapped seats. Why?
Well, I mean, if free will doesn't exist, then through the power of editing, I can edit out my own free will. But then, was that always going to happen? And then that question I just asked you there, was that question always going to happen as well? And we could be here forever.
Makes you feel a bit like a robot, doesn't it? Well, you are one, essentially. You're governed by your wants, would you say? I think a person only ever does something because they want to, or because they're forced to. Those are the only options. The only options, right? Like you either do something because you have some reason to want to do it, or because somebody's forcing you to do it.
Okay.
If
So,
some,
which one is the reason why you're here?
well, I don't want to answer for fear of offending you, but it's one or the other. If it were the fact that I were forced, then I'm definitely not in control. If it's because I wanted to for some reason, well, I can't control my wants. So in either way, I'm not really in control of that.
Do you believe that human beings have agency?
No.
What about talent agencies?
um, well, you would think that you might have had the agency. For example, you chose to, instead of showing the people the true London, the true sort of hot, sweaty tube, you've taken us onto the rather bougie, air-conditioned, empty-ish Elizabeth line at a time that isn't too busy. Why did you choose to do that?
I feel I'm just expressing my own agency. I grew up middle class. The tube is just a reflection of my own internal condition.
That might be truer than you know. I mean, the tube is essentially the same kind of thing that you are. It just sort of follows along its tracks.
How would I know if it's truer than I know or not?
I think that, well, it might be truer than you know, but if it's true that it's truer than you know, then it would also be true that it's true that it's truer than you know.
But do we need, in that case, do we need an external assessor? Like, because if it's truer than I know, somebody else from the outside is assessing that's truer than Frankie knows. But then that may be also truer than they know, or not as true as they think they know.
Of course, because if something is true, then it becomes true that that thing is true, and then it becomes true that that thing is true, and then it becomes true that that thing is true that it's true that it's true, and this goes on infinitely. And so we've just sort of exploded truth into an impossible infinite
Ejaculated truth.
ejaculated truth. Yeah.
Just to get back to the question, do you believe in free will?
No. If I were less funny, I'd say it's because I can't help it. Whenever you do anything, it's either determined by something or it's not, right? Those are the only two options. If it's determined by something outside of yourself, then you're not in control. If it's determined by something inside of yourself, that thing is itself either determined or not. And so you either terminate in something that's determining what you're doing from outside of yourself and you're not in control, or you terminate in something that is undetermined, which is the definition of randomness, which you're also, by definition, not in control of.
What about if you're a mixture of in between and you're like the Terminator?
I need to go and delete half of my videos based on that insight.
That would be your free will to do so. Or would I be controlling you?
Well, yeah, that's
But then it's like it's a mixture of both. It's like, maybe I implored you to do that, but I didn't control it. You, through your own biases or whatever feelings you have projected onto me, you feel like I'm controlling you, but I've just made you become better.
It's hard to say. We don't know what the determining factors are,
It
but
was really easy for me to say.
we do know that there must be some imploring going on, because otherwise there is zero explanation for why I'm here right now.
I was ordering on Uber Eats yesterday. I wanted a pizza. I ordered from a pizzeria, and one of the pizza names was Free Choice Pizza. But I clicked down on the drop down menu and it said you can select any four toppings from the pre selected menu. So it's kind of like we're all doomed to a life of being choosers. As Zygmunt Bauman said, we're all doomed to a life of being choosers, but we don't really get to choose the choices we make. They're pre chosen. So do our choices. Like someone has free will down the line, just maybe not us.
Other pizza establishments are available. Arthur Schopenhauer said, you can do what you will, you just can't will what you will. And I think that's the point. People think that freedom is to do what you want.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
That's another way of putting it, I suppose.
Do you like ABBA?
No.
Neither do I. I don't understand it.
I think it's sort of one of those things that started off ironically, and then people seem to sort of start not so much enjoying ABBA, but enjoying the sort of idea of enjoying ABBA. It became like a bit of a joke, but people started to enjoy the joke so much that I'm quite suspicious as to whether anybody actually likes the music.
I'm quite suspicious whether anyone ever likes anything unironically.
That may be true.
What's one thing that people don't know about you that you'd like to talk about?
Uh, I have an allergy to exercise. No kidding. So I'm allergic to muscle hypertrophy. Dead serious. Only the first few times that you try to get back in the gym after it's been a while. You know when you start aching, the next couple of days?
Is it like a rash?
Yeah, it sort of start flaring up
Oh.
like I got the bubonic plague or something.
Could you hold that for a sec? Yeah. Oh, actually, can I have it back? Yeah, that's. Can I just interrupt you there? Because I just want to have a word from our potential sponsors. They haven't paid me. Do you want to set a timer on your phone for 1 minute?
Sure.
They haven't paid me to make this video, but this is a potential advertisement for Magnum. Do you love chocolate? Do you deserve a sweet little treat, even though you're 34 years old and life is just constant suffering? Well, look no further, because Magnum chocolate ice creams are here for you to satiate your taste buds. Man, this one is vegan, which means that it's 0 calories, so you can eat as many as you want without putting on any weight. So again, this is not a paid advertisement, it's just giving my potential advertisers an idea of what to expect. Bon voyage.
I'm also allergic to nuts.
What?
No,
I really want to eat this off the ground.
Is it 5-second rule?
Will you hold that for a sec? Okay, you can talk for a minute.
When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries.
Is it only men?
Unfortunately, yeah. Just imagine Shakespeare walking up to you and being like, man, I wish I was you.
Yeah, it's a bit like 2 weeks ago in Soho, I met Nelly Furtado's choreographer. Magnum ice creams, a case study in free will. Oh wait, hold on, can you hold that? I just want to put this in. So, have you ever met any famous people?
I met Chico once.
From the X Factor?
Yeah. I was a little kid and he was playing at Butlins or something. Oh,
So-
I did once have dinner with the guy who sang the theme tune to The Vicar of Dibley.
Oh really? The like Mr. Kipling?
Yeah, that guy.
What about The Crown?
What about it?
Like the show?
The greatest piece of conservative television produced in the last 100 years.
I was actually talking about the monarchy.
Also the greatest piece of conservative television created in the last 1,000 years.
Let's talk about the monarchy as a hyper-real simulacrum.
That's like my favourite subject, man.
Yeah. Do you like AI?
It depends what it's doing.
Fondling you.
Well, I don't know about the artificial part there. It sort of puts me a little on edge.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Piers Morgan likes it. But do you feel like if AI ever gets to a level where it surpasses the intellect of human philosophy, do you ever feel like you'll just have to like debate Piers Morgan for the rest of your life and like sell your YouTube channel?
Yeah, and then it would be exposed for what it really has been all along, which is just entertainment. It's got nothing to do with getting to the truth. I do sometimes wonder what would happen if we switched on the artificial general intelligence and there was some kind of big press conference or something where everybody gets together and we're going to ask it the big questions of the world, and they've got the local school children there who are going to say, what do you think is the best film and all this kind of stuff, and everyone's really excited and it finally gets switched on and it just kills itself or something out of despair.
I had a similar realization the first time I took acid.
Do you like the monarchy?
I like the things they did to my ancestors, but I don't like the way they dress.
Yeah, sort of a toss-up, isn't it, for the Irish? Although I'm a bit of a plastic paddy, I really, really like the way that our people were treated, but I just kind of hate the ceremony and the pomp and pageantry. So
I mean, I don't mind like the 800 years of colonial oppression. I kind of just care more that they kind of shut down a lot of roads in London for the royal wedding.
yeah, and for the king's birthday. Look, man, we've all been there, you know.
Yeah, we've all been treated like kings on our birthday.
And we've all systematically oppressed
Oh,
people.
I just can't wait to be king. Lion King. I'd like to ask you another question. This next question is blank. Was that meant to be there?
Sure, yeah, I think from the beginning of time. You know, when all of the like atoms started bumping into each other at the Big Bang or whatever, this was predestined. Doesn't that
So,
feel quite special?
is nothing something?
Sometimes.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna just have to take your word for it. Who decided that Tuesday was a thing? God? Do you believe in God?
I don't believe in God, but I'm told that God believes in me, and that's enough to keep me going.
You interview some of the most annoying academics out there. Do you ever just want to hit them?
Only with a sort of metaphorical, intellectual punch.
A jousting.
Sometimes with a fist.
Cerebral fisting.
You could call it that. Hey, it would make for a good YouTube title.
You don't seem like the crying type. You're like the strong, silent type.
You know, I got enough of it out of my system when I was a child.
Let's circle back when I'm not in the room.
Yeah, we can talk about it off camera.
And by we, you mean you and a licensed therapist, correct?
Quite. Which you can get by going to betterhelp.com/Frankie.
Yeah, BetterHelp is the other potential sponsor for this podcast. Do you want to set the timer again, please? BetterHelp is the other potential sponsor for the podcast. If you struggle with your mental health, that's fine. You might be weird, and that's very unfortunate, isn't it? It's a real shame, and shame shouldn't be in the dictionary. Guilt is necessary because you feel guilty over things you do, but shame is something you feel about who you are. So let's take shame out of the dictionary. I have never felt shame before in my life over things that I've done, over the type of person I've become, over the horrible ways I've inflicted upon people. So I feel like that's part of my healing journey. And you know, everyone is different. I feel like it's just so important, no matter what you do, to feel self-love. And if I never got a licensed therapist through BetterHelp, a guy called Dave from Nebraska, I would have never known that. Dave runs a spiritual retreat program as well. He has a real musk to him. 57 seconds, 58. BetterHelp.com. Okay, that was 1 minute. Okay, so we got through the second advertisement. My audience don't really like when I do well. They'd rather see me suffer in a squalid pit of my own piss.
Look, one minute advertisement out of a 1.5 minute reel is not too much to ask for, I think.
No, I mean,
It's free, you know, they should be grateful.
yeah, and like you can't spell real without real.
That's what I'm saying. Can't spell,
Wait,
it can't spell it without eel either.
yeah, and they used to put them on your skin when you were sick.
It's
It
all-
didn't work, but neither does vaccination. No, sorry. Oh, see, this is why I could never do anything live, because like,
I think you're fine.
yeah, I think I'd be
Look,
okay.
what's wrong with a vaccination joke? Unless you're
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a jab.
Yes.
You debate people for a living. Did you ever argue with teachers in school?
Yes, in the way that people like to go on to say, I used to ask, you know, difficult questions, and I used to get discouraged when really I was just being an asshole.
You said there's actually a spelling mistake there.
It's actually fewer, not less. And then I would just get like, and then I'd just give interviews about how I was a tortured child, and the teachers never understood me, and they discouraged me from asking difficult questions. No.
Look, I literally, that is what I tell myself. I tell myself I was misunderstood.
These are not mutually exclusive. You may also have been misunderstood.
I feel like when you tell people you were misunderstood, you're kind of insinuating that people were not deep enough to understand you. There's like a weird narcissism to it, where it's like, no, like, I mean, I felt a little bit different, but that doesn't mean that my feelings were true. Like, I felt different because I was a bit sensitive growing up, maybe, But
Oh yeah,
you know,
I may be hugely narcissistic, but it's got nothing to do with me asking questions in school.
did you ever make a teacher cry in school?
I'm not sure about cry. Maybe sort of afterwards in the staff room. I hope so. Anyway.
Like, I never made a teacher cry, but there was a girl in my class. Oh, sorry. Hiya. There was a girl in my primary school, and we had a spelling test, and there was a girl. I can't get it out. There was hiya. How are you? I I never made a teacher cry in primary school, but there was a girl in my class who farted so strongly during a spelling test that she smashed the glass that was 10 feet behind her. Like, who does that?
I feel like when you put a connective like but, it's supposed to sort of, connect two ideas. You just said two things.
Can two things not be true at once? Surely you know that.
They can. You know what? Fine. Why
And
not?
free speech?
Not for things like that.
No.
No,
Okay, so
I'm becoming less and less of a free speech advocate by the minute.
why do you think free speech is being co-opted by the right?
I think a lot of the time people don't actually care about free speech. They care about the issue that they use free speech as a proxy to defend. And usually that's some kind of unpopular opinion that is usually somehow it sort of has pressure on it against it by, say, the government or by institutions. And so because they have a lot of trouble trying to get their views out into the world without suffering for it, they say, we love free speech, when really that's a bit of a psychological cope because they just hold an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, so like Magnums aren't actually 0 calories.
Yeah, it's all marketing. Yeah, sort of destroying the illusion a bit here with this background that's not moved for the past sort of 15 minutes.
It's only the most extreme people are currently watching us still. Okay, great. That's absolutely amazing. Okay,
I like that picture.
which one?
Oh, is that what I think it is?
Yes. Okay. Now it's time for Frankie's quickfire word association round. What comes to mind when you see this picture?
Beauty, aesthetic, the sort of border between desire and respect and appreciation, a longing to be unified with beauty. C.S. Lewis once said that I think a definition of beauty is sort of a longing to be connected to something. And so beauty is often sort of a bad feeling. If you see something beautiful, you sort of go, you sort of grimace. It's weird because you sort of have this longing to be connected to something that you're not.
You kind of have this, like, when you see something beautiful, you kind of go, that's disgusting. So, that's the picture. I did stretch out the picture. He's actually not that svelte in real life. But I feel like the man in this picture is perpetually looking at you like he's staring too close to his phone screen.
What do you think?
And he's like, oh, that's what he do. We go, oh.
I never like to revert to the ad hominem, although a lot of people get that wrong. The ad hominem fallacy is to say you're stupid, therefore you're wrong. That is the ad hominem fallacy. To say you're wrong, therefore you're stupid is another thing entirely.
What do you see when you see this picture?
DLR and National Rail Services. If you see something that doesn't look right,
Wet, limp, lukewarm, antiquated. It's not another picture of Peter Hitchens, folks.
Does that get you wet?
In the eyes. I get teary-eyed with patriotism, thinking about everything that the late monarch did for us.
Thinking about everything that England have ever done and continue to do, because like we know all about, like, Buckingham Palace has all the tea, and that's the tea, and sometimes mama spills.
Yeah.
Well, mama, thanks for spilling.
Are you talking about Her Majesty Queen Camilla?
I don't know their names, but that sounds like something you'd buy in Iceland.
Unless you're talking about the previous monarch who, as in death as in life, I'm sure, is looking down on us right now.
She could be looking up at us.
She was the leader of the Church of England. God's going to put her on a nice...
It depends if God is Catholic or not.
That's true. Do you think God is Catholic?
What if God was one of us?
When you get to the pearly gates...
Are you trying to stop me singing before I was... Let's just sit here and like awkwardness and let me kind of do this.
Yeah, I'm trying to save you.
What if God... Okay, I don't have...
When you get to the pearly gates and you meet God, do you say, you Catholic or Protestant?
Like, do you think people would be allowed to... Like, are people allowed to have any fun in heaven is my question. Like, are you allowed sin in heaven?
No sin. You just get sort of eternal enjoyment of Jesus.
I can think...
I think that the Islamic philosopher Al-Ghazali once said that the orgasm is only restrained in one way, and that's temporally.
What about when someone's choking you?
Maybe that's allowed in heaven too. He thought that therefore heaven must be something like an unlimited orgasm.
I feel like the tube is a metaphor for politics itself. If nobody ever goes into the far sides of the carriage, it's like we all concentrate towards the centre, and then the outliers exist in carriage 9 or carriage 1, but they're more or less entirely ignored and kind of ridiculed a little bit.
And then they go insane.
How would you describe radical centrism?
As both radical and central.
My last question of the day, what do you see when you look at this picture?
Tabula rasa.
Does that mean table of racists? Will I go? Thank you for joining me on this series of Tubechat. Join me next week where I might interview someone else, probably. I'm not sure who it's going to be yet. So let me know in the comments below who you'd like me to interview. Okay, bye for now. See ya.